It's been a while,
Just a little bit.
and I've been thinking a lot about the intro to our podcast recently, and I think I've just accidentally, for 30 episodes, stolen the format that the Weekly Planet uses, not even thinking about it. Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Every Marvel Movie Ever. I am your host, Gabe Thomas. With me as always is your co-host, Francisco Alcala.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Weekly Planet, where we talk movies and comics and TV shows. My name is James, also known as Mr. Sunday. With me, as always, is my co-host, Nick Mason.
But I was thinking about it, finally, and I feel like we need to change our intro, and I don't know to what.
I feel like, first of all, this was on purpose. Second of all...
Maybe. It was definitely, it was subconscious theft, because I've spent thousands of hours listening to that, so it's in my head that is how I would start a podcast, but
Shout out to them.
I feel bad about it.
I don't know how we would start it.
Welcome to another episode of Every Marvel Movie Ever. I'm your host, Gabe Thomas. With me, as always, is your co-host, Nick Mason. Francisco Alcala, and today we are talking about the only Marvel film to come out in 2006, X-Men: The Last Stand. What do you think? Is this your first time seeing this? Probably.
Yes, it is. It'll possibly change, but I think I like this one better than the other two.
That's embarrassing.
Just slightly. Yeah, I know it is. But you know what? That's fine. I like this movie.
I like it more than the second one. I think the first two, I don't know why. If there's more dumb shit in this one.
That's what makes it more fun.
Exactly. This feels the most like a comic book film that any of the original X-Men 3 movies do. And that's what I want. I want dumb birdmen and ice fights and whatever. Like, it's campy and it's hokey, but it's kind of like Fantastic Four, honestly, in that way, where it's a little innocent and just dumb.
A little.
And X2 doesn't have that. Like, that movie's super serious all the time, and it's mourning about religion and stuff. And this deals with those same segregation topics that the X-Men should deal with, but then there's some fun, wacky shit in there, too. And you get maybe the first reference to a meme in mainstream cinema.
Don't you know who I am? I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
So we can maybe thank this movie for the Emoji Movie, or the Angry Birds movie. What other internet movies are there?
I'm sure there's a lot.
Friend Request. Let me say that again.
What?
Friend Request. It's a Facebook horror movie.
Who's that? A girl in my class. Zero friends. Super weird.
I think you're thinking of a different movie. Unless there's another one like that.
What are you thinking?
Unfriended?
No, Unfriended is Skype.
Oh, that's Skype, yeah, never mind.
Don't
I mean,
worry.
same thing.
Unfriended counts too. There you go. We could...
Unfriended 1 and 2.
Dark Web. Interesting thing about Dark Web is, apparently there are 2 endings of that movie, and different cinemas got different endings.
Oh yeah,
like
I heard
Clue.
about that.
That's so weird.
And then wasn't there a third one on the home release? There was a third ending?
Probably, yeah, and I think people debate which ending is better.
Which one's canon?
All my friends snuck into Unfriended 2 when it came out, and I wasn't there. Not because I'm a coward. I mean, a little bit.
I was gonna say, are you sure about that?
Also because, actually, I have no idea. I just wasn't there for some reason. I was doing something else, and I'm so mad that I didn't.
You were seeing a different movie.
Maybe I was seeing Cats.
You're planning out when you're gonna see Cats in what?
No, it's too late. It's too late for any. They took Cats out of theaters.
Good.
Cats is over. At least at our local theater. I think there's an AMC nearby where I could still see it, but that's kind of sad.
You're never gonna see it.
I'll see it when it comes out.
Yeah, probably.
If you think we aren't going to do a Cats-based podcast at some point, you're fucking tripping.
We have to just review every version of Cats that's ever come out.
But there's like 3, right? Probably. The movie, the play, and the book. That's fine. We can do that. I hope you like T.S. Eliot, because that book is from like 1931. And that actually brings us to a great point about X-Men: The Last Stand, which
what?
is... This was based on 2 comic books. Famously, the Dark Phoenix Saga, which... Plug for our Dark Phoenix episode. That's episode 8, I think. So if you want to go back and listen to our fresh thoughts out of that movie, they're not positive.
Unsurprisingly.
It should be called X-Women, as we know.
And by the way, the women are always saving the men around here. You might want to think about changing the name to X-Women.
Anyway.
The other comic it was based on is from my favorite X-Men run of all time, written by the one and only Joss Whedon, director of the first 2 Avengers films. He wrote comics for a while, and he wrote Astonishing X-Men, the first 6 issues, which, if you buy it as a graphic novel, it's called Gifted, and it's one of my favorite stories ever put to comic. It's brilliant and beautiful, and it's about the Cure. I think there was a plotline like the 90s X-Men cartoon about the cure before that.
Dr. Adler claims his process can reverse genetic mutations within each cell of the body.
What?
You mean steal our powers?
It could be used as a weapon against us, but some mutants might welcome the chance to become normal.
Joss Whedon was going to direct this movie initially, and then they were like, I don't remember why. I think he had to direct Serenity or something, but obviously that didn't end up happening. Matthew Vaughn was going to direct, who he did Kick-Ass 1, 2, or no, sorry, that's a lie. He did Kick-Ass 1, and then he did both Kingsman movies, and he's great, and he did First Class. When he was on the project, he got Vinnie Jones for Juggernaut, and he got, I think, Kelsey Grammer for Beast, which is probably the best part of this movie. They kept those things, and then he left. And so we were stuck with people who didn't know what to do with those characters, one of them in particular. Still interesting.
I think he did pretty good.
Juggernaut, really?
Yes.
You think that's pretty good?
No!
Who's hiding now, dickhead? Oh, man. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Juggernaut, we'll get to. Big rubber muscle suit. Vinnie
And
Jones.
a purely stone helmet for some reason.
Yeah, it's basically based on the Ultimate Juggernaut, because, we've talked about how these movies are coming out at the height of the Ultimate Comics, so everybody's edgy now, and I think that's really the movie's fault, honestly, because these came out in, early Linkin Park 9 Inch Nails days, and so that's the culture, and they were like, oh, well, we gotta make all these things edgy, and then you get Daredevil, you get Ghost Rider, the movie.
Well, okay, Ghost Rider's good, so...
Ghost Rider's good, but I think you're forgetting that the main villain is fucking Wes Bentley in, a trench coat or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for next week. Next week is going to be so fucking great. I got my extended cut Blu-ray over there. Never seen the extended one. Can't wait.
I didn't even know it existed.
Me either. There's it's 20 minutes longer. If we're discussing directors who left, we should probably talk about who was slated to direct the first 3 X-Men movies, which is our best friend on the show, good old Bryan Singer.
Gabe's role model, his favorite person on Earth, best man to ever live.
Famous pedophile, sex offender, sex crime, creepy with Bryan Singer.
Can't wait for this to just be censored for 10 seconds straight.
Yeah, the whole episode, because I'm just going to keep slotting in things like this. So we got a different sex pest to direct this movie, Brett Ratner, who previously he did Money Talks and he did the Rush Hour movies, and then he did this for some reason. I think they gave it to him because this movie was pretty rushed, and so they were like, oh, the first Rush Hour movie, no pun intended, was famously rushed during production. That was a solid, successful film. So we'll just have you do this superhero movie, even though it's absolutely not in your wheelhouse, and we have so many contenders for great directors who would go on to make some of the best movies in the genre. Fuck you, Matthew Vaughn, Joss Whedon. We got Brett Ratner, who... I don't know if we should talk about controversies about him right now, or if we should wait.
Well,
we're not just going to talk about things in general. He was a big Me Too guy in the sense that people were coming out a lot about things that he did.
Okay,
but
of course.
According to the production of this movie, there were some things that he'd said, and maybe we should wait until we talk about Kitty Pryde.
Okay, well, that's not a good sign. I was thinking we should talk about it during all the random trivia facts, but maybe it'd be better once we get to Kitty Pryde to just talk about it.
I have all these written down. I'm just kind of trying to read. Most of the stuff I've written down, I'm just trying to remember and seep it in more seamlessly. I don't know, whatever. This isn't even interesting. I'm not even going to keep this part in.
Yeah, 2 things that don't go together are seamless in this podcast.
Jesus. Oh, it's a whole new year. New year, new me, Franny.
No,
Same
new year,
old
exact
shit.
same people.
Exactly, yeah, same show. Different art, which I might have to cut this out if the art isn't finished by now, but if you did notice that incredible cover that we have, that is, of course, courtesy of Paul, who is the best. And
Who is our biggest fan, and we love him very much.
We love Paul. We'll leave a link to all of his stuff in the, in the show notes. We're professionals.
In the
if
thing.
you couldn't tell.
We'll leave it in the thing.
In the description if you're watching this on YouTube, whatever. He's great. We'll talk more about Paul at the end because, we got to read off the Paul charts about stuff that he said about this movie. Do we need to talk about the basic plot of this movie for people who haven't seen it? I know whenever we talk about one of these, we're like, people have probably just seen the MCU movies, right? So I think just quick rundown is there's a mutant cure, and Magneto's up to no good, and Jean, who exploded next to, she's back now, and she's super horny because she has a firebird inside her.
And also in the movie for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's true.
And has a total of 2 lines.
Maybe the crux of the whole movie, and she doesn't matter.
She literally dies
Yeah.
easily.
But she takes Cyclops with her, which...
And Professor X.
Yes, but the reason the Cyclops thing is relevant, because I don't know if we talked about why Bryan Singer left. I think I got too excited talking about what a fucking man he is. He left to go do Superman Returns at the same time, and he famously said that he regretted that decision before watching this movie, during watching this movie, and after watching this movie. But there'd be a lot more if he was in charge of this. So there's just blatant homophobia on set instead, which is
That's
not better.
Even better.
Yeah, it's none of it's fun. Everybody's a monster. Fuck all of them. Well, he did that movie, which is a movie that I really like, and I know Paul really likes. And so if we do our DC show and we do that episode, hopefully we can get Paul on board to talk about that. Maybe not a great film with us, but I like that movie a whole lot. He took James Marsden with him, who's in that movie as just like Lois Lane's new boyfriend or anything. It's not a better role than Cyclops. I don't know why he left. Cyclops isn't even on the cover of this DVD.
Because he's somehow in the movie he's probably in the movie more than the Phoenix.
Yeah, probably. Well, he's in it for 4 minutes and 40 seconds altogether, and I think he has...
Why do you know that?
Because it's like
Did you count?
No, yeah. I had my stopwatch anytime Scott came on screen. But apparently somebody did, because I have that number. He does have some good lines. I know we talked about, maybe in the first X-Men movie, there's that good character moment I like where he says...
Not everybody heals as fast as you, Logan.
Talking about Jean's death and whatever. That's good stuff. I think there's some moments in here between people that I like more than the next two.
There's some pretty good lines, and then there's "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch."
Not a great line,
but no, there's actually some pretty good lines in this.
This was written by Simon Kinberg, who he's written all sorts of schlock, but he directed
David Hayter.
his director. His directorial debut was Dark Phoenix in 2019. He directed that movie.
Oh, God.
Oh, you did such a good job on Apocalypse and X-Men 3.
Everyone's favorite X-Men movies.
We just gotta give you your own movie to direct. And
what a coincidence that this guy worked on 2 of the movies that also have the Phoenix in it. And then worked on the other Phoenix movie?
He worked on all 3 of them.
Yeah.
Any movie where the Phoenix has appeared, Simon Kinberg was there. You would think he really loves that storyline, but clearly he doesn't, because both
he fucks it up
times
every
he's tried
time.
to do it, it's been awful. But God, is this better than Dark Phoenix? Oh my God, there's no comparison.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
much better.
You mean the Phoenix or just the movie in general?
Just as a film.
Yes. Any film is better than Dark Phoenix.
I will say for Dark Phoenix, at least... it's actually, like, space stuff, and there's alien things going on.
And this is just like a river demon or something.
It's a split personality that she has that Professor X has been locking away in her head, which we also kind of got in Dark Phoenix. It's like, oh, you've been repressing my memories, now I'm going to make you walk up these stairs.
That scene was fucked up.
It's
I think about
pretty
that scene
fucked,
all the time, and who thought that was a good idea?
Apparently Simon Kinberg did. He wrote it with Zach Penn, who he's baffled us in the past because he's written such hit films as Elektra and then this, but he's also written stuff like The Incredible Hulk and The Avengers. So
okay, that's not bad.
No, that's interesting though that he wrote Elektra. I think we talked about in our Elektra episode, probably it was a long time ago, I can't remember, but I think we said they probably just put his name on that movie and he didn't actually have anything to do with it, because I couldn't see that being true. There's no way he wrote Incredible Hulk and Avengers and then he wrote Elektra. But then maybe some people will say...
maybe he just got better.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe. That's true. I mean, if you look at it, I think starting with Elektra and then this and then Incredible Hulk and Avengers just gets better.
Yeah,
progressively.
they just have progressively better writing, so
Yeah.
good on him.
Maybe, yeah, actually, that's I didn't even think of it like that. That's a good way of looking at it. I hope that's what happened because I mean, he co-wrote all of these things. Movies in Hollywood don't get written by singular people unless it's The Last Jedi, but we saw how that turned out.
No.
Yeah. I'm not that against The Last Jedi. Whatever, like what you like. New ones.
How's the newest one?
I haven't felt like that in a theater since Batman v Superman.
Scale of 1 to 10.
Like a 5 probably, but that's being like because it's obviously it looks very good because there's $250 million behind it and whatever.
It's Star Wars.
And it's Star Wars,
and it's
so
a Disney movie technically.
it looks good. It looks good and everything, and people are good in it. But fuck, is it schlock and bad? Like it is insane.
I heard that a lot of it is just fan service.
Most of it is, and not in like
not in a good way.
Not in an Avengers Endgame way where it's these are moments that we've been waiting forever to be paid off and things that have always been in the back of people's minds that we wanted to see happen. This is like everybody's related to everybody.
Here is the family tree.
Exactly. Like it's like, oh, you didn't like how some things were vague in those other movies, mysterious and interesting. Fuck it, here's your answers.
Nah, fam, this is the last movie. We gotta answer everything.
They're bad answers. It's the whole thing, director politics and whatever. It's not. I mean, it's incredibly interesting, and I would love to talk about it, but this is not the place to talk about it.
I don't care. I've seen like 4 Star Wars movies.
Yeah,
and I've seen them once a couple years ago, so fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of New Mutants in this, not the New Mutants. I'm sorry if I got your hopes up, but there's a lot of...
Yes, the New Mutants are in this movie.
Can't believe that's coming out.
I'm
so excited.
I can't believe how okay it looks.
yeah, I know, right?
It looks fine.
Semi-competent, which is so much more
like
than
that's
I
about
expected.
It.
Yeah, I mean, we'll
It'll
see.
be fine.
We'll see. It'll be fine or awful or boring or good. I don't know. Could be anything, any which way but loose, I guess. Who do we have in this that we haven't had before? We have Kitty Pryde, we have Angel, we have
Colossus slightly more than...
We have more, yeah.
He was in the
get
last
more.
one, but
exactly,
not that much.
yeah.
He had like a cameo.
We get an amazing opening. Not the opening. In fact, actually, we should talk about that, which is maybe...
What, the de-aging?
I think it's the first time they ever did it. And it's not the worst.
Yeah,
but
I feel like from some angles, I think it actually looks really good, and then they start talking, and it looks really bad.
My problem with it is they don't look that much younger.
Yeah,
they
just
look
kind of
about the same.
They kind of just removed the wrinkles, which I mean, I guess that works, but...
And here's another timeline thing where...
Oh god, we don't need to talk about X-Men and timelines.
People are gonna want us to. Fans of these movies like their timelines,
yeah.
and I like talking about them.
Yeah.
So this flashback is presumably, I don't know, like 1985 or whatever.
Despite the fact that First Class and all those movies happened like
exactly.
barely before.
Exactly. But the main thing is in the 80s, in this movie, Charles is walking around. In 1963, he got shot in the spine on that beach. And this isn't like a Days of Future Past timeline thing where post Days of Future Past, these movies don't really count and they don't really matter. Like, then you have your own timeline problems, but they're not related to this original trilogy. First Class is like the next chronological movie after Origins, which doesn't really count, but this is the same universe. So, like, in a pre-Days of Future Past world, but a post-First Class one, that doesn't make any fucking sense why Charlie Xavier's walking around.
Charlie Xavier.
That's what they should call him. I really like the scene with Angel when he's a kid and he's cutting his wings off. That's pretty intense.
And it came kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah, the first 3 scenes of this movie are really weird because it's that Jean Grey scene and then it's the Angel thing and then we're finally with the X-Men. It's like... weird to have 2 origins back to back in the first 5 minutes of your movie, but
also a weird, sad thing. Is that kid the kid from Shark Boy and Lava Girl?
Which kid? Oh, the main
Angel?
kid?
Yeah, when he's a little kid.
It's very possible. Max?
I don't remember his name. I just know he's the little blonde kid.
Let's find out.
I thought it was him. But I feel like it's a weird thing to put together.
No, it's the same. I mean, it's like the same era. It's the same couple years.
I can't wait to be totally wrong or 100% right.
I really hope that you're 100% right, because that's hilarious if that's true. Yep, sure is.
Is it?
Right on the money with that
Yeah.
one. Good work. That's hilarious. Never would have put
God,
that
that's
together.
gonna make that. If I ever somehow see that movie again, it's gonna make it so much more funny. If I see either of these two movies, it's gonna make it more funny.
Yeah, especially this one. It's like, you're supposed to go to the Planet Jewel or
Where's
whatever.
Taylor Lautner?
Yeah, and George Lopez is Mr. Electric. Somebody gotta take that kid's dream journal. Can we do that? That's a superhero movie. How do we work that in?
Yeah, all right. We're just gonna do that movie over and over again.
We would have to do a podcast where we did all the rejects, like we did Spy Kid, or maybe not Spy Kids, but like Shark Boy and Lava Girl and Kick Ass and Super and like all these movies that don't count.
Yeah, all the non-big brand
Dark
superhero
Horse
movies.
and Vertigo and stuff. Yeah. I mean, not Vertigo. Vertigo's technically DC, but Vertigo doesn't exist anymore, so fuck you guys. I don't want to get shit for saying Vertigo a second ago. I don't give a shit. I was thinking of Valiant, but I didn't say it, did I? Anyway, not Valiant, the movie where Ian McGregor is a carrier pigeon in World War II. I'm just spinning wheels now.
I can tell. What the
God.
fuck is that?
Oh, man. Don't look it up.
I don't plan to.
Yeah, but I really like that scene, and that is a Matthew Vaughn moment. Like, he scripted that, and so that's why that, I feel like, doesn't match that much of the other movie. It's like this really dark thing, and then you kind of get more of that darkness in X-Men First Class. And watching this, because it hasn't been that long since the last time I saw this, because I watched it before Dark Phoenix came out, and that was like 6 months ago, I've just been thinking, a lot of these movies, I feel like, and I feel like this is true up until maybe like Thor the Dark World, they have a lot more of an edge. Like, the Spider-Man movies and the X-Men movies aren't afraid to get violent. And I think that's kind of true throughout all the X-Men movies. It's like, there's always a level to them.
I mean, you have Wolverine as your main character.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, he doesn't, like, chop anybody up in these movies.
I mean,
he does in this,
in
but
this movie he does, but
it's people who
it's
can
a joke.
grow back and stuff. And
grow those back.
he probably could. Like, it's a dumb line. Not as good as Charles always wanted to build bridges, though.
Charles always wanted to build bridges.
Charles always wanted to build bridges.
He didn't build a bridge. He just put it.
Yeah, he just moved it.
He's moved a bridge.
Fucking idiot.
Charles always wanted. You know what? In that final battle, he says the same line twice in a row.
In chess, the pawns go first. That's why the pawns go first.
Anyway, I feel like in
bridges,
these movies feel more dangerous. Like, in the MCU movies, nobody really dies until everybody died, but then everybody came back, and then one person died. Or
and no, 2 people died
yeah,
actually.
but she's getting a movie, so I don't really.
Well,
care.
it's a prequel, so
I
it
don't
doesn't
care.
count.
It
Fuck you.
It doesn't feel dangerous though, for to have somebody die in the MCU, because I'm always like.
I mean, yeah. How else are you gonna make your $2 billion?
Yeah, and I love those movies, and those movies are more coherent, and a lot of them are better. But these movies kind of just feel like grittier things. I think that's due to the era they came out in and the studios that produced them, because it wasn't all Disney. I mean, that's probably why Thor the Dark World is the first one where things start to be... Because those early Marvel movies, they're pretty fucked. Like, Iron Man...
I mean, Iron Man was literally selling weapons to terrorists.
True,
so.
It's true. And there's, like, torture scenes in a couple of those movies, like, violent ones. And then Iron Man has him fucking that reporter... So, like, there's stuff in those early movies that I feel like people kind of don't realize that that's not... None of that stuff has been the Disney-fied MCU, and that doesn't make
I don't
anything...
think they realize it. I think it's just been so long that they just forgot that it even happened.
Probably. But I'm not saying any of this stuff makes it better or worse. I just think it's interesting that when you're watching an X-Men movie, it's like, there's so many people here that some of them will probably get killed off, but then when you're watching an Avengers movie, you never feel like that. I don't know why that is. I've just always kind of thought that. Like, these movies feel a lot less safe than the newer ones do. And that's kind of the end of my thought. I don't know what that means, but...
I mean, halfway through the movie, Mystique's just gone.
Yeah.
She just gets shot, and then she loses her powers.
I enjoy that scene.
And then Magneto's just like, you're not one of us anymore.
I don't know.
She was so beautiful.
What?
No, you don't remember that? While he's walking away, he was like, she used to be so beautiful.
Not the way you're saying it.
Well,
tell you what. I love it,
that's
though.
fine.
That's hilarious.
That's what he talks like.
Sorry, could you do it again?
Fuck, I forgot what the line was.
She used
to be so beautiful. Charles always wanted to build bridges.
Just the pawns go fast.
You know what? For some reason, my impression of him sounds like Bane, but without the mask.
Sure. Oh, you know what? Dark Knight Rises, this isn't going in, but there's that line where somebody, I don't know if it's Batman or somebody asks
Batman
Bane.
always wanted to build bridges.
Yeah, that's what he says, and then he moves the giant bridge with his muscles. No, somebody asked Bane, oh, what would happen if they took that thing off, and would you die? And he just goes, it would be very painful. But so I guess that means he doesn't need that. And I'm always so curious as to what it does and why he has it, because I think he does get severed at the end of that movie, and then he dies, but he also dies because he got stabbed, and then he gets, like, shot with a bat cycle or something. I haven't seen that movie in so fucking
This
long.
shit sounds insane, and I don't remember any
It's
of this.
insane, yeah. And then Talia al Ghul shows up, like, at the end. Like, it's this chick who's been normal the whole movie, and she's like, I am the daughter of Ra's al Ghul. And Ra's al Ghul, whatever, fuck, Ra's al Ghul, whatever, fuck you. I'm the
Lazarus
daughter
Pit guy.
of, daughter of Liam Neeson. And then she, like, stabs Batman, and Batman's just lying there bleeding out. And then Batman dies at the end of those movies.
Does he?
Yeah. Have you seen it?
I know I
Probably,
have.
like 10 years ago or whenever that came out.
I know I've definitely seen it, but I just don't remember
Well,
that
okay,
happening.
it's vague. If in my head he dies, but it's kind of like
They pulled
people
an
argue
Arkham
about
Knight
it.
on us.
Kind of, because there's a moment earlier in that movie where Alfred's like, you know, sometimes, sure, I like to, when I'm at a restaurant or whatever, I like to picture you with a pretty supermodel just being happy and living your life or whatever. And then Batman's like, there's a bomb in the city. I gotta drive it in the harbor, but the autopilot's broken on the Batwing, so I have to go down with it. And then they're like, Batman, don't go, don't leave. And then Batman leaves, and then he explodes.
But then he doesn't explode.
Well, then at the end, Alfred's like sitting at a cafe and he sees Bruce with Selena Kyle, and he's like, it's like the situation that he described earlier. And I take that as earlier he was like, oh, I wish I could see you like that. And then that's his vision of him seeing him like that. But some people are like, well, then why would he doesn't know about him and Selena Kyle, so it's weird. And I'm like, I think that's just kind of a mistake, like a continuity thing. And then they're like, no, you're wrong. And I'm like, I mean, I think it's kind of left up into interpretation. This is the guy who directed Inception. And then they're like, hey, in Inception, do you think that the real totem is the top, or do you think it's the wedding ring? And I say, well, I think intentionally it was the top, but I think that there's a second layer to it where it is the wedding ring, because if you go back and you look at the scenes, the ones where he's in a dream, he has the wedding ring, but the ones where he doesn't have it. Or maybe he's just not wearing it, and he's just mesmerized by his past self and his dreams, so that's why, because when he sees his wife in his dreams and she tries to commit suicide, this whole thing.
This was a really long, weird, pointless
These
tangent.
are the conversations that people try to have.
This was a completely one-sided conversation. You had a conversation with yourself.
Oh, that's what I was thinking of. I have split personality disorder. I forgot. That's what it is. My bad.
Did you have weird mind blocks on it?
Yeah, I had a second personality, and then my therapist tried to use Cerebro or whatever to block. There's no Cerebro in this movie, because it got blowed up in the last one.
Yeah, and then Professor X also gets blowed up in this movie.
He does, and I think it's well done. It's not as... because he's died twice.
He dies in, like, all of them.
Yeah.
He dies or gets incapacitated somehow.
Oh, he always... well, yeah, we talked about how he always gets Professor X because he's too powerful, so he needs to be taken out of the picture. In this, he explodes, but then he's okay. At the end credits, there's the first Marvel movie ever with an end credit scene, by the way. You see him, but he's got like a beard, and it's like somebody else's body, but he has the nose of Patrick Stewart. And Moira McTaggart's there, and Moira McTaggart was Rose Byrne, so she was like 30 in 1963. He exploded, so I guess he transferred his consciousness into this new body, but the next time that we see him is the end credit scene of the Wolverine, and he's just back. And they never mention what happened in that movie or in Days of Future Past. There's never any explanation. They never tell you what happened.
I don't know
He
what
just shows up at an airport in Japan or whatever.
I don't know what you're expecting from the X-Men movies.
Something. No.
You should have no
Totally
expectations.
Fine. Totally fine.
Also,
whatever.
for some reason, that reminded me of something I liked from the beginning of the movie with the flippy Marvel logo.
How it's all X-Men
Oh, yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
that was
yeah.
cool.
I think they usually do that, but it's not as noticeable, I think. Like, this time I was like, oh, yeah, you can
Yeah.
really tell what all those things are.
But I feel like when they used to do it, it's kind of just like, it always looks the same because it's just kind of the MCU Marvel flippy thing.
Yeah, I miss it. I really miss
Me
it.
too.
I do wish
I
they would
like
bring
the
it
new.
back.
I like the new one too, but
Yeah,
I like the
yeah.
flippy. I miss the flippy. I want the
I
flippy
miss the
back.
flippy. Oh yeah.
Marvel has been dusting people since 2006. I just realized that.
Yeah, you're right. He does explode into dust, doesn't he?
Yeah,
He didn't
a
feel
lot
so
of
good.
a lot of people do. A lot of people don't feel so
True.
good. The entire United States military doesn't feel so good when they all get turned into dust at the end of the movie.
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of this movie more than the other two, and I think it's just because this is like on a bigger scale. It's the big mutant war or whatever. There's a lot of useless mutants in this who are characters from the comics, or they're amalgamations of different characters from the comics, which is always so weird.
And also all of like Magneto's weird like pawns or whatever. He
because
calls
in
them.
chess the pawns go
Yeah.
first. Yeah.
All of them have like the same 5 powers, just like copied and pasted.
Yeah, here's the
Like, you can
teleportation
see-
guy.
Yeah, here's the flying guy.
Yeah.
Here's the laser guy.
Yeah, they are all kind of like that. And it sucks. I mean, it's not great, but you do get Multiple Man showing up and then being underused because I love him. I think
He
he's such
shows
a
up in
good
one scene and then he
character.
just gives up.
Yeah, because I'm a big fan of that character in literature, but not really on film. I think a couple of years ago they were talking about making a Jamie Madrox movie with James Franco or something, and then they didn't. That would have been a really weird.
I could imagine
property,
it, but that's weird.
I would have totally loved it. Oh, we didn't talk about like basic technical stuff if anybody cares. So this was released, because this is usually how we start. It was released May 26th of 2006, so Memorial Day weekend, with a budget of $210 million, which at the time this was the most expensive movie ever made, and it made $460 million about. So I think this was the biggest budget for an X-Men movie and or for any movie, and then the greatest success of any of these movies. So that's why they kept going. But this was supposed to be, these are all the X-Men team movies, and then we'll just have X-Men Origins spin-offs, and they're
And
gonna
they
go
made
great.
one and it went
It was
terrible,
really
and they're like,
bad.
"Oh no!"
We'll just do
Control Alt Delete all of them.
pretty much. Well, then they're like, we wanted to do a Magneto one. We'll put all that stuff in First Class, whatever. It'll be great because we'll give it to a filmmaker.
And then it was great.
It was great. It was.
And then they went back to
such a
being
good
bad.
God, First Class is so fucking
It's
good.
such a good
It's one
movie.
of the It's probably one of my favorite superhero movies. There's so much to that movie.
The end is kind of dumb though.
Which part?
The bullet to the spine thing, just like oh shit, just like the hand thing, and
It's better than what it is in the comics when
what
he
is it in
gets
the
like
comics?
the devil shows up and
Oh, okay,
drops
yeah,
some
never mind.
stones on
Yeah.
him. And breaks his leg. There was a Nightcrawler cameo planned, but Alan Cumming was like, I don't
Hate
want to
that.
sit in that makeup chair for 100 hours to be on screen for a minute. So in X-Men The Official Game, which was the tie-in for this that I have right here and never played.
Which is weird because I feel like why would you name it that if
Not
it's
X-Men
for
The Last Stand, right?
Yeah, it feels like you would name it if that was the tie-in game for the first movie, not the
Exactly.
third one.
Yeah, and I think the first movie's the only one that didn't have one.
Literally, all they had to do was just add a 3, just say X-Men 3.
So when Brian, and the singer was on board, he had some ideas. He was gonna have the Hellfire Club be part of it, so actual Dark Phoenix comic shit would have been good. And he was gonna have Sigourney Weaver, Ellen Ripley herself as Emma Frost, which that's fun. And he wanted, I think you're really gonna appreciate this,
God.
Franny. He wanted to have Gambit in the movie.
Okay.
And do you know who he wanted to be Gambit? It's Keanu Reeves, though.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, that was the plan. Keanu Reeves and Sigourney Weaver and X-Men 3.
I really want to see that version of the movie.
What's the thing he says? Like, you're breathtaking. Fuck, now I remember.
Yep,
it.
there
God
it
damn
is.
it. Yeah, the only other super interesting thing was that there was a Juggernaut Colossus fight scene, so that would have actually given Colossus something to do in this movie. I think he just carries a big TV at some point, or maybe that's X2, I can't remember. I remember always thinking that's such a ridiculous thing, like Bobby's like, where's Rogue?
Oh,
And
yeah, it's in
Colossus
this
is like,
movie.
yeah, okay, yeah, it's so stupid.
But
How do
she's
we show that
gone.
this guy's strong? Give him a
Give
big
him-
TV.
Give him a big ass square TV and just have him walk it down the hall.
CRT television, yeah.
Also, that subplot was so weird.
Kitty Pryde, Rogue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't fit. It's
And
something I think a lot of people complain
it
about.
just takes some
you can't
time.
balance it. Yeah, and
And also,
it's
where did
not-
that come from?
it's not in it that much. like, that's totally in X-Men's character because there's tons of weird relationship stuff in the comics and whatever, and it's okay because it's kind of like a soap opera thing, and that's fine to have something like that in this movie, but this is like your big epic finale as far as you know. Like, I don't know why you would...
Yeah, Rogue gets rid of her powers at the end of the movie. It's just like, okay.
Well, the cure thing I get, because that's kind of like the whole thing. In all 3 movies, she's been like, I wish I could, like, touch people and stuff, because it kind of sucks to be alienated from everyone. But it's weird how in this she's just like, I got it for you, Bobby. I did it for a boy. I literally... Because she has that great conversation with Logan, because X-Men 1, a lot of that movie is about Logan and Rogue, and I feel like people don't really think about that as being like a huge dynamic of that film that started this trilogy.
It wasn't really there in 2.
No,
so I mean,
which is why I'm really glad they have that scene where he's like, I'm not your dad, I'm your friend, but I'm telling you that if you want to do this, then do it, but if you're doing it for someone else, don't do it.
Look, if you want to go, then go. Just be sure it's what you want.
Shouldn't you be telling me to stay?
I'm not your father. I'm your friend. Just think about what I said, Rogue.
That's a great moment.
And then it's ruined when she's like, I did it for you, Bobby.
Yeah, it's literally, it's such a defilement of such a great scene, because this movie doesn't like to let things breathe like the other 2 do. Like, I don't like Bryan Singer, obviously, and I don't love that second X-Men movie. It's totally fine and competent, and people love that fucking movie so much. But those there's arcs in those that develop, and there's a lot of, like, there's increments of something in the first movie that gets developed on more in the second one, and then you'd think third act of those character things would be finished in this, and a lot of them aren't. Scott, as a leader, there's been a whole thing where he's like, pack it up, I'm leaving. I'm going to Alkali Lake for some reason, because that's where Jean died, I guess. And
she keeps talking to me in my brain.
Sure. I wish there was more time to marinate and stuff, and there really isn't, because the production's rushed and a lot of the script is rushed, I think. I think at some point the whole script leaked and they were like, fuck, we gotta rewrite this. It's like in Scream 2 when the script leaked and they were like, we'll make the killer this guy that hasn't been in the movie for an hour. Like, oh, wow. Wasn't really fair to guess who it was in that movie. The whole appeal of those movies is guessing who it is. The character stuff isn't great, but the action sequences are. Like, there's some... I love the bit when they go back to Jean's house when Professor X dies, but like that moment when Juggernaut throws Logan through the ceiling and then he comes out through the other room. That's great. It's obvious how they did it. Like, the guy who falls obviously isn't Hugh Jackman, but it's such a good idea. I really enjoy that. I like the final battle. It's ridiculous once they start, like, throwing cars and lighting them on fire. I'm like, this isn't the best you guys could do. But
it's pretty good.
It's comic booky and dumb, and that's what I've been waiting for in all these
Also,
movies.
I feel like they're at a severe disadvantage in that fight, seeing as Magneto could completely stop 2 of the 5. Colossus is literally a giant metal man. I mean, to an extent, so is Logan. So there's already, like, half of the team gone, so you have, like, the new recruits in Storm.
I mean, that's kind of the point, you know? It's like, oh, the underdogs or whatever. But, like, there's not a lot of moments where they're even working together. Like, it's like Kitty Pryde's off with Leech or whatever, and everybody else is...
Yeah, like, the entire
really
time...
doing team stuff.
The whole time they're like, we do this as a team. And then they do nothing as a team except for, like, stabbing Magneto with 4 needles.
yeah. That apparently the cure doesn't work also. Which we never elaboration
despite
on that.
The fact that he got 4 times the dosage that anyone else has ever gotten.
Yeah, I guess
does it counteract itself?
I guess that means Mystique is fine then. Like
yeah,
she got one shot of that.
Is it temporary? Also,
if we want to continue this, throw something before the credits.
Weird thing about Mystique is part of her mutation is that her hair turns orange.
Well, it's
like when she turns into like a normal person again, her hair turns black. But like, why?
Because Tranny, that color is Raven, and that's her name.
That's stupid.
Yeah, but that's why.
Okay.
Little intense for her to say, "Don't call me by my slave name." It's like,
yeah,
that's not subtle.
That's weird.
Also, I don't like the choice of them being like, "Where's your mutant mark?" And he's like, "I have a mark." And then like a minute later, he's doing a Hitler speech in the forest.
Yeah,
for a Holocaust survivor, Magneto really likes to flaunt it. Like he's not. You know, like I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm just saying it's weird that he's like contradicting himself.
I think it might just be a coincidental thing because evil big villain guy has to have a big monologue. But I mean,
Sure.
I think it just so happens that he was a Holocaust survivor.
Okay, well,
but also a big bad villain.
Still
so
don't like the. I feel like that's really cliche and kind of almost expletive for him to just be like, "Oh, here's my mark."
A little.
we know. You don't have to. We've addressed this. There's that very powerful scene that started the trilogy we haven't forgotten, and then X-Men First Class is more of that, and it's like we understand. Maybe
Kevin
this
Bacon
is
coin through the forehead.
this is like a exactly. This is like I'm glad you remember that. This is like a
because it's so fucking weird.
It's very good and a crazy death.
It's like a coin slot.
So weird. Yeah, I know, right? Get 3 cherries. Maybe that's like a little sprinkle of, hey, Magneto origin movie on the way. So if you wanna do a little thing about that, which I don't like. Don't do it like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Magneto's still good in this though.
Oh no, he's wonderful. He's great. Everybody's so good in this movie. Actually,
I don't think there's anybody that's bad.
Except maybe Vinnie Jones is the Juggernaut. That's
well,
a mistake.
yeah, obviously.
Big fan of him
but...
as an actor and other things. Like I love Lock, Stock, 2 Smoking Barrels. It's great. Other Guy Ritchie stuff he's really good in. But he's a character actor who's supposed to play very specific roles.
You know, it's not gonna be great when his first line is "Get me out of here! I have to take a piss."
Yeah, it's not great.
Like,
it's not great. Don't try to play hide and seek with me, princess, or whatever he says. Who's hiding, dickhead? But he doesn't like
best writing in the entire movie.
Ellen Page. I'm so sorry. About what?
Should we talk about that after what you were gonna say?
Let's talk about Beast first.
Okay.
Because let's
yeah,
talk
we
about
haven't
another
talked,
happy thing.
Yeah, we haven't talked about him at all, but he's amazing.
Yeah, he's so good, and he's been sorely missing from the other movies because Beast is a core X-Men character. This movie actually completes the roster of having the original 6 X-Men in this, because originally it was, I don't want to do this because if I fuck up, it's going to look really bad. Beast, Jean, Angel, Iceman, and then Professor X? Is there another one? Cyclops. And then that's it. So 6. So now we finally have all 6 of them in one movie because we didn't have Angel or Beast before. Both pretty good. Angel, he's just a blonde guy with wings, but I enjoy that opening scene that we talked about, and I like the part when he jumps out of the skyscraper. I think that's just good imagery. And
then there's just the random shot of like those kids just looking at him like, that's a big ass bird.
Right? Yeah, I thought that was so dumb that he flew over the park where Magneto was.
Yeah.
I was like, because as that scene kept going, I was like, we're holding on this, and I know what the last scene of this movie is, because it hasn't been that long since I saw this again. Oh no. And then, yeah, so weird. Beast, obviously, Kelsey Grammer, who, he was a huge fan of this character. Ironic if you watched Frasier, which was his big show, because there's an episode all about him trying to find an X-Men comic for his kid, and I think he goes on a speech about how like comics ruin your brain or whatever. So that's fun. He was like, "Oh, and I'm a big fan of Beast," and that naked picture of me leaked in like 2010. So
okay,
not fun. That wasn't his fault. Somebody just took that. Like, he was like, but so he's just wonderful. He's so great as like a level-headed scientist, very smart mutant activist guy.
He calls everyone son.
Yeah, he does, and he's like, he's super homely.
Nanomachine son.
Fuck. The memes.
Metal Gear Rising.
The
he
makeup
works for the government. And
the
it's
makeup
really cool.
is so good.
I think that's probably
best
one of
it's ever been.
Yeah, I think it's probably the best effect in the movie.
Yeah, and
It
there's tons of good effects.
I think it just looks really natural, if that makes sense.
No, that totally does. I mean, because it's all prosthetic, obviously, and it looks it the whole time. There's never a second where I'm like,
that's a wig.
That's Kelsey Grammer under there.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's Beast. There he is. Nice that they were able to get Hank McCoy for this movie. That's how I felt, and that's how you should feel. Shouldn't be like, I'm watching. What's like a bad example? I'm watching Jared Leto act his heart out in a fucking awful film.
I'm watching Jared Leto with Sharpie on his forehead painted white.
Damaged. The soundtrack.
I really want him to be in Birds of Prey for no reason.
Me too.
Like, just like they don't even announce it, but he, like,
I would love that.
Like in none of the trailers he's in it, but he's one of the main characters. Like he's just in the entire
you know
movie.
You know what I want is, because there's that part where it looks like she kills the Joker, and if they got, because like, she's like, oh, I broke up with Mr. J. And then she like drives that car into the Ace Chemicals plant and then it blows up, which I enjoy that moment in that bad trailer. But I'm hoping that Jared Leto's in it, so he gets to blow up in a chemical plant, because that would be hilarious. If that movie started with the death of Jared Leto, I would at least give it more of a chance. I want it to be good, obviously, but
would not do it.
no, because he was pissed about
Yeah,
Joaquin
especially after-
Phoenix
yeah.
doing it.
I
So,
want to be Joker.
When Joaquin Phoenix wins that Oscar in February, he's gonna be really mad.
I mean, didn't he already win an award for it? I don't remember what award show.
And Golden Globes.
Yeah, he won the
like
drama
BAFTAs
one.
and stuff. Yeah, well, of course. Well, that's a fucking amazing performance, and
It's so good.
I really enjoy that movie. I know people have kind of turned on it or whatever. Or I think
Why?
well, I don't know if they've turned on it, but there's very mixed opinions about that film.
I think it's great.
I think it's great. I think that's a beautiful movie. I really want to see that again. We had a project in video recently where we have to recreate like a 3-cam 2-shot camera thing.
I don't know what any of that means.
Like conversational scene,
Okay.
basically. And I didn't do this, but a friend of mine, they did the Murray talk show scene. So you get what you fucking deserve.
Yeah, it's the best
so,
scene.
So great, so great. I haven't seen how it's come together
I
yet.
keep
but
seeing
looks
memes
great.
of that scene, and they're so good.
Oh my god!
Fucking the
like,
duck hunt.
Well,
one.
after that movie came out, like that was crazy. Like because I feel like whenever I watch movies now, I'm like, you guys know it's gonna be meme material.
Yeah,
they do it
like,
on purpose.
You can watch like any new movie, and you know exactly what meme material is. Like you see it, and it's not even something funny, but you're just like, oh god, I can't wait to see this all over the internet in like a week.
Yeah, exactly. You don't put America's ass in your movie and be like, that's not going to get picked up by every fucking article. America's ass. Well, it's my favorite example recently has been in Knives Out, which is the new Rian Johnson film. Fucking best movie, or my favorite movie of the year last year. But Chris Evans is in it, playing against type, which I think he's just so glad to have finally gotten out of being like such a goody two shoes all the time, because he's done it for 10 years, and a lot of his earlier roles he was kind of an asshole, which I enjoy. And
Fantastic Four.
yeah, exactly. That's like kind of what I think he likes playing more, probably, because he's wonderful as Captain America. Everyone knows that. But
And then his biggest regret, not another teen movie.
I love that movie. I love
so
that movie.
good.
I stand by that forever. But
no, it's a fun movie.
it's
not great,
going
but
to prom's the thing I want the most. I just jerked off in your French toast. That's a great movie.
It's such a bad movie.
Doesn't he have a sister who wants to fuck him or something?
Probably.
I need to see that again. I haven't seen that in a little while.
I know, I haven't seen it in forever. I just know it's a fun movie. Though.
It's the only one of those, other than maybe the first scary movie, that I enjoy.
I think I own it on DVD.
Yeah, it's on streaming. It's like on Amazon Prime, and I see it all the time. Like, because we were just on school break, and so I was like, my sleep schedule was literally wake up at 3 p.m. and then stay up until like 7 a.m. and just watch movies all day. And so I kept watching like once it got to like 5 a.m. I was like, I should just watch a stupid comedy, and I kept passing that. Like I kept being like, oh, I should, but I want something new, and I should watch that again soon. Because maybe it's bad, but I still.
Oh no,
there's
it's
a lot of
definitely
good-
bad, but
there's
it's
a lot
very
of good
funny.
stuff in there, I think. But anyway, in that movie, Chris Evans wears a sweater, and it's just like a normal sweater, but he looks so cute in it, and like they've really leaned into it in the marketing, which may be the gayest thing I've said, rivaling for the gayest thing
Really?
I've ever said on the show.
Oh my god, Chris Evans looks so cute in that sweater.
He does though. Oh my god, it's like this Irish. Like I tried to buy the fucking sweater. Like that's how
All
much
right, this podcast is over. I'm done
marketing
with this.
marketing has never worked for me so well. And okay, actually, the other day I was watching Tremors, and there's just a scene in Tremors where like in the background there's just an orange crush. Like it's not even paid any attention to, but like Kevin Bacon's talking. I'm just staring at this. I'm like, I really want one like right now. And I paused the movie. I went out to this fucking store in the middle of the night and was like, one crush, please.
What
and
the
I
fuck?
got one. I came home, and then I was like, this is great. I don't even like orange soda. I just wanted one so bad. Anyway, the sweater became like the talk of the internet a couple weeks ago when that movie came out. And then I saw like a Facebook ad or whatever, because I'm an old man, and it was like a Knives Out commercial. It was like the movies everyone's talking about, and that crossed out movie. It was like the sweater everyone's talking about. It's just all tweets about the sweater. I was like, this is what the internet should be about. It should be about Chris Evans' sweater marketing this fucking movie.
I mean,
that's hilarious.
What else is there in life?
And he looks so cute is the other thing I want to stress. Oh man, you haven't seen him in the sweater, Franny.
I have not.
It's gonna be so underwhelming.
It definitely is.
It's only good in the moment. It's just a white sweater. Like,
yeah, you're really hyping up Chris Evans in a sweater.
I really wanted that sweater, but it's like $120. I was like, of course it is. Chris Evans don't buy cheap clothes.
It's Chris Evans in a sweater.
It's Chris Evans in a sweater. But he's got like dyed black hair. It's like
okay.
That's great. That's a great movie. Everyone should go see that movie and Cats.
Anyway, this literally has nothing to do with X-Men: The Last Stand.
I don't love how they gave like their attempt at making the costumes more comic accurate is adding some colored lining to some of them.
Yeah, and
it looks better
Beast's
than the past
weird
ones
like
have.
Varsity jacket thing.
Yeah, that's
like his like weird sleeveless varsity jacket.
This is probably the best rendition of the costumes, but that's not saying
yeah,
that
that's
much.
not saying much when you just wore all black.
I think we've kind of been defenders of these like we're like we get it. It's kind of like that's the era.
They don't
it's Matrix.
look okay. I don't think they look bad. It's more fun if they're comic accurate.
Yeah, of course.
I want to see Hugh Jackman in yellow and blue.
No, I mean I want him in full yellow, blue, or orange, brown one. That's my favorite Wolverine costume. But just I do want that. Maybe it would look ridiculous. I think pre-MCU that would have been pretty frowned upon, but I still want yellow spandex so bad.
And then we kind of got it in First Class because that movie's great.
It's great and knows what it's doing, and it can pull off yellow spandex. These movies didn't even attempt to, but they're like, what if we make some of Kitty Pryde's costume a little pink? And we were like, I guess.
It's like,
Also, the Danger Room scene, I love that.
Yeah.
That's such a good thing, where like it starts and it's Days of Future Past, and even because all these original X-Men movies for some reason keep up with the not too distant future thing, which is stupid, but it kind of works in that because it's like, what are we doing here? Like if you went to this blind, it'd be like, oh, this is what's happening.
I was very confused.
And I remember being so excited when I first saw this. Like I was probably like
honestly
7 or 8, and I was like, oh my god, is that a Sentinel? And he cuts it off, and it's the fucking most comic accurate Sentinel thing I've ever seen. And then it's like Danger Room.
And then Wolverine walks out from behind the head, despite the fact that
he wasn't on the head.
Yeah, there's no way he could have done that.
Yeah, that sucks. That's so stupid.
I was honestly convinced that I was watching the wrong X-Men movie
at first. Days of Future Past. Yeah,
I was like, this is Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
Where is the Phoenix? And then it was Danger Room, and I was like, well,
so they
still
got
cool,
you,
though.
even like
a little
14 years after they got you. That's great. That's fun.
Because I mean, that's how the movie starts.
Yeah,
it's
it is.
It's the de-aged weird Jean Grey scene.
That's Angel, and then it's like, oh, so those are setting stuff up for Future Past, I guess.
And then it's that.
Nope. But we get the fastball special, which is a like favorite move of so many comic fans, which is basically just Colossus picks up Wolverine and throws him. That's a famous thing.
That's just what you do when he's like 4'10" or something.
Exactly, but it's kind of funny because it's like a small Colossus. Like Colossus isn't very big.
Yeah,
he's about as tall as Wolverine. So
yeah, he's like this. Whenever he turns metal in this, isn't it just the guy? It just in metal, like he doesn't get bigger.
No. We're getting about 10 years ahead of ourselves, but fuck does he look good in the Deadpool movies.
Oh my god, he looks so good.
That's maybe my favorite, like one of my favorite on-screen comic characters, probably, because it's just so fucking good and beautiful.
It's
like the right size.
It's one of the times where a fully CG character actually looks really good.
He's not even Russian. Fucking Johnny New York, whatever. Like,
fuck you, Last Stand.
Yeah, fuck you, a movie I kind of like. I mostly
fuck you, a
like.
movie that I actually enjoy.
Yeah, I have a really fun time with this movie. Like, I will totally watch this, and I've probably seen it more than at least the second one for sure. I've probably seen this about as many times as X-Men 1, but it's just so fun. Like, it's one of the most fun X-Men movies to watch for sure. I really enjoy it. And it gets a lot right. It's dumb. It's so schlocky.
It's
like
dumb, but it's a lot of fun, so it's fine.
Yeah.
It's like dumb in a fun way. It's not
on the level that the other two are as far as storytelling or anything.
Yeah, it's not trying to take itself as seriously as the other two.
I like which is probably why a lot of people don't like it, because they feel like it doesn't fit. I think it.
I feel like at this point they realized what they're working with.
Yeah, and
Like-
it's just. I don't think that the people behind the scenes were as smart. I mean, like, if you look
yeah, probably, but
who was in charge of this movie, it's like they don't have as strong a track record as that other does. So, whatever.
Speaking of,
If you can speak.
yeah, the Ellen Page thing that we were gonna talk about and then never did.
Oh, okay. I don't know if Brett Ratner just as a guy, and I don't want to get sued allegedly because that's what you have to say on a podcast. Allegedly. But he did it. Allegedly he did it.
He did it allegedly, possibly, maybe, definitely.
Probably allegedly. He did it. He didn't touch anybody or anything, unlike he did on a lot of other movies, like Rush Hour 3. I think maybe Olivia Munn's in that. And she came out about him, and a ton of other people did, which sucks. What he did on this movie is Ellen Page, who is a gay woman, he outed her on set. Like, I don't think she'd come out at this point, because this is like 2006 Ellen Page. She's been working for like a year. Like, this is pre-Juno and everything. And so he like, I don't know even how he found out, but he outed her to the cast without her permission, and then he was being blatantly homophobic to her constantly on set. And Anna Paquin, who plays Rogue, she talked about this a lot too. She was like, yeah, I can testify to all of this. All of this happened, allegedly. All of it happened, allegedly. But it
Allegedly.
happened. Yeah, it happened. Allegedly. But honestly, that's just terrible and really
that's
awful. And I mean, I think he's like just a bad dude, and you kind of see it in a lot of his movies. Like, there's like some weird racism in this with there's like that scene on the Golden Gate Bridge, which is an amazing sequence, but then you cut to obligatory Asian tourists.
Yeah,
it's like that's
weird.
not great. None of that's fun. But it should be addressed, because all this awful stuff, we're in an era where this stuff comes out, and we should talk about it so we don't repeat our mistakes. But not fun. None of that is great. I don't know why these movies have had such an unfortunate track record of casting people to be in charge, and then those people turn out to not be great.
In any of the other ones, are they also terrible people, or is it like...
I think everybody going forward is fine, other than these two. I mean, Matthew Vaughn, he's nothing about him, or James Mangold, who did the Wolverine, Logan. Everyone else, as far as I know, totally fine. We'll probably have to talk about this again with T.J. Miller in Deadpool. Yeah.
That was...
Yeah, so anyway, back to fun stuff. It just sucks. Don't be a homophobic asshole.
Moral of the story, don't be a dickhead.
No, and if you're in a
like
position...
the Juggernaut.
If you're in a position of power, yeah.
Who's hiding? Dickhead.
Yeah, it's weird how they just nerfed Mystique, though.
I don't know how I felt about that. I mean, it was whatever, I guess.
It's whatever. Who
I
cares?
mean,
there's
Magneto...
so many characters in this
Magneto
movie.
got his other redheaded side chick like 5 minutes after, so
True.
it's fine.
Yeah, that's very true, actually. This is almost the last time that Rebecca Romijn would ever play that character anyway, because she has that brief cameo in First Class, but she's never like in the blue makeup again. So that's kind of sad. So we have so much listener stuff this week. I don't even know if we can read all of it out. I think some people might have started listening to this over the break, or
Possibly.
maybe I just reached out to a better source to get more people.
Either way, thank you to everybody that sent stuff about the movie.
Yeah, of course. First let me show you this funny thing that Colin Spenrath sent in. I just saw this right now, but
yeah, that was me. That was me when I saw the fucking the danger room thing come up on the bottom.
It's hilarious. Drew Lamas says, "It's a mess, but I think there's enough fun stuff in there that it has way more rewatch value than Days of Future Past for me, which is widely considered much better." I really love Days of Future Past. I think that's a great movie, and I stand by it. But that's fair. That's another one people turned on.
I still don't know what to expect from that movie because obviously I've never seen it. I don't know what the fuck that title means. I just know there's a lot of time travel, and there's like, isn't there like these versions, and then there's the
You're gonna find out.
the
Frank.
younger
You're
versions.
gonna find
like,
out. It'll make sense when you get there.
what the fuck is that movie?
You're you're smart enough about this kind of thing where it won't confuse you. It's only confusing if it's like the first X-Men movie you saw. I don't think it's that confusing.
I don't know, man. With with the name being Days of Future Past, I don't know what to expect.
It's like Back to the Future. It's like when you got to think about it to make it work out. Like I don't know, because I know that they say that in Twin Peaks too.
Through the darkness of future past, the magician longs to see.
Aaron Jones, I like this. I read this earlier. Aaron Jones says, it's bad, but not as bad as people make it out to be, I think. It deserves a hug in between the slaps on it every now and then. Which I think that's
Yeah, I personally, I don't think it's bad. But
No, I like it.
I
but
can see why people think it's not great.
It's one of those things where I'm like, if you don't like this movie, I absolutely cannot argue that with you.
Yeah,
it's not great.
It's definitely understandable why somebody wouldn't like this movie. But personally, I really like it, so fuck you.
It's tons of fun. Yeah, it's tons of fun. And then somebody who doesn't agree with us is Dalton Ham, who says, it sucks and is full of wasted potential and botched character arcs, but it's still enjoyable, unlike the last few X-Men films, or the last few Fox X-Men films.
That is not wrong.
No, it's not wrong.
I mean, we've been over that. Like,
sure, yeah. Dan Wright says something, which is just Dark Phoenix made it look good. Yeah, I think maybe in hindsight we're also like...
Dark Phoenix made this movie look like a masterpiece.
It really did, yeah, because that's just such a nothing movie. I know people defend that as just like, it's not awful. It's not even just that like there's huge logic gaps or anything. It's just like it's so dull and not.
Yeah, I know
movie.
we like rip into it all the time, but I kind of want to see it again to see if it's actually as bad as the first time I saw it.
Yeah, I mean, I think just seeing it around the time it came out, like immediately,
it was just not good.
Yeah, Alistair Cresswell said, "Play a reminder that he's the Juggernaut, bitch." Ben Marriott said, despite everything bad about the film, Kelsey Grammer is perfectly cast as Beast, and it's the best the Beast makeup has ever looked. Absolutely. That has a ton of likes for being right. Wolverine's pants are stronger than his skin, and it bugs me.
Yeah, that shit's weird, but also it makes sense.
What does that mean?
At the very end of the movie, when his skin is coming off, his shirt gets burned away, but his pants don't.
I think that happens in the X-Men Origins game too.
Like, okay, I get it.
I really like that though.
But
not the pants thing. That's stupid. That happens a lot. It's like
that
the
scene
Hulk.
I like. The pants thing, that's stupid.
Yeah.
But also kind of weird to have a completely naked Wolverine just stab Jean.
That's okay.
So
with
I
me.
mean, well, yeah, a lot of weird shit's okay with you,
we
but
get naked Wolverine in the Wolverine.
Yes, we do.
And we get naked Wolverine in Days of Future Past. We get 2 back-to-back movies with naked Wolverine. I don't know if I said that was Tyler Martin Smith who sent that in. That's a good point. I really do like though when she's tearing away at him and you like see the metal under the bones and stuff. That's really cool. And I think that like scared me when I was 7. I was like, oh,
his skin is going away.
Because that's what I mean when it's like these movies have more of an edge, I think.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen to fucking anybody. I don't know.
Because none of them have a healing factor.
Exactly, but I'm interested to see if any horrible things will happen to Wolverine in the MCU.
Probably
Who
not.
knows? Maybe he'll get a hand cut off because those movies love doing that.
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't think anyone in the entire final Star Wars trilogy got a limb cut off, which is like a signature of those movies. That's weird, right? I know.
Yeah.
That's weird. I don't think it ever happened.
I think the funniest rule about the MCU Disney movies or whatever, no decapitations, and then in the movie right after they made that deal,
decapitation.
Very beginning of the movie, Thanos gets his head cut off
for the head. Oh my god! The second time I saw that movie, it's the first time I saw it with you for this, and the second time I saw it with Ryan, and knowing that was coming, like, because the first time I was just glued to the screen, I was like so shocked and whatever. Second time knowing, it was like a week later, I was just looking for like the little kids in the room. I was like, what are they gonna think when this guy gets his fucking head?
You
cut
hear
off?
somebody scream.
Yeah, well, I think they're like, because there's a lot of kids, because there's like a pretty early showing for some reason. I think we had to shoot something for video afterwards, and yeah, it was just like I loved watching those reactions because it's just like this 5-year-old who's probably traumatized when they saw Infinity War, and then their parents were like, "Oh, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay, don't worry, the Avengers will return." And then just Thor decapitates him, and then things look unfixable, and I'm like, this is great.
The sound effects on that decapitation are so good though.
I haven't watched that movie since the theater because I have such a visceral reaction to seeing it again. I couldn't, because my family was watching it like a couple months ago. I was just like, I can't do this because I know exactly how I would react to seeing that again. Like even watch like the scenes on YouTube. Like if there's a video where they talk about a certain thing, I'll watch that. But I'm never sitting down to watch like the final battle again because like it's a thing where it's like if I'm gonna watch this, I need it to be impactful. So I need to do it under certain. Yeah, of course. I think everybody has. I mean, I've seen all the memes, and everything, but I'm like that's just such a huge movie. It's like I need to really get into gear for this. I don't know.
That shit was an event. That was weird.
It really was. It really was. And
it was like a worldwide event.
I don't know if anything will be like that ever again.
Definitely not.
Like even Star Wars didn't feel like one.
Yeah, that was a weird time to be alive.
It was great though.
Yeah.
How lucky.
Just like the entire like year of hype, just like waiting for it to come out.
Because that was just such an incredible ending to Infinity War. It's like, well, what the fuck? Is like that was tailor made to have fan theories about it, and then pretty much everybody was wrong. Like we got some things right, but shit, like they really
like I feel like all the things we got right, it was like vaguely right.
It's like time travel probably. Like some things is like just
we were
crazy.
on the right
So
track,
incredible.
but that was about it.
Adam Stonebridge has given us a lot of things. He says bottom of the pile for him, just above Origins. Unpopular opinion within this group, but I much prefer Dark Phoenix to this. Uh-oh, Adam. What are you about to say?
All right, we got to bring you on the podcast. We got to have a debate.
The Dark Phoenix. Yeah, watch out. Watch out, Stonebridge. I'm going to build some bridges to your fucking house.
Charles always liked building bridges.
Adam always liked to burn bridges, which is what he's doing right now. No, that's okay. I like what you like. Dark Phoenix persona being used by Magneto. She was like a mindless drone. Cyclops killed off. Xavier killed off. I think this is just a list of things that happened in the film. Mixing the Cure and the Dark Phoenix thing, Vinnie Jones, and then a separate point for Vinnie Jones's muscle suit, which I appreciate that. that's funny. You're back in my book, Adam. You know what? That's okay. It has a few good set pieces and characters, but all of these movies do.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. I mean, I think that's probably maybe not a general consensus about the Dark Phoenix thing, but those are a lot of points that people complain about. It's not the craziest thing in the world.
The Dark Phoenix thing, like what you like, that's fine.
Sure.
Everything else, understandable. I mean,
yeah, this is going long, and there's so much here.
I mean, it's better than the 45-minute recordings that get cut down to 20 minutes.
It won't be for me in the end. Quite the letdown after the Sex Pest's alleged 2 movies. He knows. Josh Dean knows. Wasted my favorite mutant, Madrox. I love this guy. This guy knows what he's doing. And jammed at least 2 full movies into one. Also, Cyclops went out like a chump. It felt like a 13-year-old's idea of a good X-Men movie. Perfect. Maybe we should talk about what Paul sent me. I have no idea. Paul infamously has very hot takes about things. We're going to find out.
This is the worst movie by far.
Oh, we talk about how you have a rat face. Not literally. I sent him I think I sent him a picture of your face for reference, and then he was like, "Oh, he doesn't look like what I thought he looked like," but like in a good way. And I was like, "Yeah, he looks like a rat boy." So now now we just call you a rat.
You're not wrong.
Okay. Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Is it like real hot takes?
No, it's not hot takes. I just don't know. I don't know if I can read some of this. Some of this stuff is a little too hot for pod. Okay, the first 5 words he said are weird, bald, not cancer kid. So, God damn it, Paul. I love you.
God damn it, Paul.
You're too funny. Cyclops gets almost more Professor X than has been seen in any movie, but not for long, because then Professor X gets Professor X because that's his thing. Classic X-Men, not slow motion, but slower than a real-life jumps. Because that's what he talked about in the first movie, how he thought you could jump in slow-mo. Mystique gets Professor X'd, everyone gets Professor X'd, Angel mutilates himself, they introduce Kitty Pryde in a mostly minor role, and when she comes back in Days of Future Past, she had weird time travel powers instead of walking through walls powers. Fair.
What?
Yeah, she can send people back in time in that one for no reason, and she doesn't walk through any walls.
Has that ever been one of her powers ever? Yeah, okay, I
no,
didn't think so.
That's so bullshit.
What?
I don't know. Yeah,
how do those two have anything to do with each other?
That's a conceit in that movie that you have to really get over, because it's just like hard left turn into fucking. I still love that movie, but like it's a weird bad choice. It's a weird bad. That's such a weird. Oh, you know what? Storm had a much meatier role in this movie, which is nice to see. Like
she was one of the 2 main characters. It was like Logan and her.
Yeah. No one's working 9 to 5 today.
Working 9 to 5.
You know, she actually got used, which was very nice to see.
Yeah, she was actually a character.
Good when she got, and her hair looks better like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, when she gets to actually do stuff, which is this pretty much the last time. She does a little bit in Days of Future Past, but not really.
This is the first and last time.
Pretty much. But she's good in this. I like that scene that she has with Charles where they're like, maybe you could take over the school at some point. Because you never get that sense from the other two movies, but there's time in between. But that's pretty much it. I mean, I like this movie. I know it's dumb schlock, but I like dumb schlock, as has been established.
It's in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like a 90s X-Men comic. It feels like the cartoon in some places. There's some dumb side plots. I really like the Pyro Iceman fight. I like to finally see him go, like, full out Iceman. Because for a while, he was, like, my favorite X-Men. I don't know why. I just really like him. And so it was nice to actually see that. And we see him again very briefly in Days of Future Past before he's decapitated. So,
great. Fantastic.
Yeah. But the X-Men movies, I've noticed, love doing a thing where right when you have the characters exactly how you want to have them, they get murdered, or the timeline changes, or they change costumes, or whatever.
Timelines change every movie.
Yeah. But the next time we'll see Wolverine, and the next time we'll see this franchise is, of course, X-Men Origins Wolverine. That's a while away. We'll be in the MCU before we get to that point. But
when was that? 2009?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're definitely in the MCU by then.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm just looking there. It's like, of course, yeah, right there. We're getting real close.
Yeah,
we're like
3
movies away.
So we
after
have
this.
Ghost Rider next week,
Spider-Man 3,
and Spider-Man 3,
and Silver Surfer, and then Iron Man.
Yes,
so close.
We're getting there.
We're really, really close. I can't fucking wait. It's gonna be a lot of fun to talk about all those and to see them like chronologically, but also coming out alongside like Spirit of Vengeance and Punisher Warzone.
I caught part of the first Iron Man on TV the other day, and it's really good.
It's so good. Iron Man 1 is good in a way that, like, I'm not saying that it's better than a lot of like newer MCU movies, but it's a different level. I feel like that feels
it's
more
good in a
like
different way.
Exactly,
it just feels different.
Yeah, it's like a different kind of film.
It hits different.
Oh God, fuck you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh God, yeah, all right. I don't want to say it feels more like a serious movie, but it's not like a crowd pleasing laugh a minute thing.
Since it's like the beginning of the MCU, it's not trying to connect to anything. It's just kind of its own movie. So
the only really hint is that famous end credit scene.
Yeah,
I wonder if a lot of the time, because I haven't had cable since 2013. Probably
we just got rid of mine. So
well, I think a lot of the time they edit down the credits, or like they don't show the credits after the movie ends. So I'm wondering if they keep the credits for that movie.
They speed up the credits,
and
they pretty much never show end credit scenes. So
really,
no,
weird.
Because I mean they have to get on to whatever's next. So like,
exactly. Well, because it's such tight time constraints.
Yeah.
So if your thing's over 2 hours, and it's like some of that's gonna get shaved off or whatever.
Yeah, because you have to fit in commercials and get through the entire movie.
Exactly.
And then So yeah, they never show any end credit scenes.
Interesting, because I didn't know if because everybody knows about end credit scenes now. And it's interesting that this is the first movie to have that, first Marvel movie to have that anyway. Because end credit scenes have been around since like Ferris Bueller or whatever.
Yeah.
But
fun fact.
You know what I hate? If you ever go see a movie in a theater with somebody and it's like they're not a nerd, but it's a movie where there's an end credit scene, they get increasingly annoyed while you wait for the end credits.
Oh
to
yeah,
end.
I know. Yeah, I know exactly what that's like.
Yeah,
like you can tell that like they want to leave.
Exactly.
It's like, no, we gotta stay.
The movie's over, right?
Yeah,
like,
no, it's not.
I want to see Mr. Mind. I remember when I last year when I went to see Shazam with my girlfriend, who's not a big into nerd stuff. She was like, "Oh, we can leave, right?" And I'm like,
"No,
I think there's something after the credits."
There wasn't.
Of this movie. No, there was, but it was so stupid. And I was like, "Why did I now I feel bad about it because it was just like a dumb Aquaman joke." Do you remember this? Have you seen Shazam? No, you haven't.
No, I have.
Oh, you have?
Yeah,
I
didn't see the end credit scene.
Okay,
but
it's just like.
Shazam.
Of course it's not real. I can't talk to fish. Even if I could, I mean, honestly, what could we do with that that's cool?
I don't know, maybe command an army of billions in the ocean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and she was just like, that was not worth it. I was like, fuck. Yeah, it wasn't. I'm so sorry.
I remember I did that. I was with a group of people, and we all went to Spider-Verse.
Oh, no.
And the credits came, and I was like, no, we gotta wait. There's something at the end. I know there's something at the end.
That end credit scene isn't even going to make sense to people if they don't know that very specific
it's so
meme
obscure.
and show in 2099. And like, there's a lot of
it's
intricate
literally,
things.
It would only make sense because of the meme, because I think everyone knows what the meme is.
Yeah.
But I feel like Spider-Man 2099 is such an obscure character.
Exactly, like when
nobody
that
knows
starts,
who that is.
starts and it's so confusing. Like it's like, oh, what's that? Like if you didn't know,
Yeah,
and
nobody...
that's a movie for like 8-year-olds. Like I fucking adore that movie, but it's like imagine being like a little kid who's never seen any of this shit. And
Yeah,
you're like, what?
There was a group of like 5 of us, and
Why'd they go back to 1967? What?
like I don't know, but it was a great end credit
To
scene.
point at each other. Oh my god! Yeah, I was laughing. The
No,
whole
you're
time.
pointing at
That's
me.
So, yeah, that's so
You
great.
pointed first.
You stop. You stop first. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. That's it. It feels so good to be back. Been waiting a long time.
Yeah, it's been like 3 weeks since
yeah,
we recorded
yeah.
anything.
Is that even longer till this is out? We'll have a new schedule. It might just be sporadic. I think probably I'll just release it when it's done. Hopefully that
It's
won't.
out when it's out.
Oh yeah, kind of. Because I think because all my job applications are in, so like I'm
Oh,
looking to
God.
start working. I'm doing driving stuff. It's like
yeah, you have
life is
no time.
hectic. So I hope that if these do start getting released like more apart from each other and it's more distant, please keep listening. I really don't want to burn out right now.
That's how we keep an audience. It just start being super inconsistent when people start listening.
Yeah, I know. I'm making a terrible mistake. But you guys are great, and I don't want you to forget you're great. And I want to put out all this content for you guys, but life
Gabe is
gets
doing
in the way
his
of
best.
stuff. In the summer, it'll be week after week, and probably multiple shows going at once or whatever, which we'll talk about that at some point. But yeah. So if these start getting more inconsistent, hopefully the quality is at the same level that you guys for some reason tolerate from us.
Not very high, but at least you enjoy
there's some yucks along the way, I hope.
Some what?
Shut up.
Some yucks?
Don't worry about it.
Okay. Some yucks.
Or maybe this will be out tomorrow because I have nothing to do and I'll just edit the whole thing. Probably not. But if this has art, thank you so much, Paul, for the art. It's wonderful.
Paul is
Everybody
amazing.
check out his Instagram and all of his stuff. He does amazing work. So great that he did that for us.
All of you listening are amazing, but Paul's
better.
level
Paul is
amazing.
above all of you. We love you all. It's so glad to have you back.
Paul is better.
unless this gets 2 downloads, Paul's great.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that Fan Four Stick episode with Paul. Hopefully featuring Paul. Paul, if you ever want to come on the show, just tell us. We'll
we
Skype
have
you in.
Yeah,
We've
we
done
have
it with
no
Ed
problem.
Dale. Yeah. I was just talking to Ed this morning, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you still like talk to him often, or is this just a
Sometimes.
random
It's
thing?
not constant, but
Well, yeah, obviously. But
I caught him today. He was online. I was like, I'll say hi. So yeah, no, he's great.
that was such a fun.
Great. It was
Yeah,
such
that was such a
weird
fun
thing
random
that we
thing.
got to do.
Yeah, that
I'd
was
love
so
to
cool.
do that again with something, just anything. I
Yeah.
don't know. Everything's too big now because these movies are huge. It's not like if we were doing a horror podcast where we could probably get Barbara
Hugh
Crampton
Jackman on the
or-
podcast next week.
Oh, we're like huge jacked man.
That would be fucking amazing, though.
I would cry. I'd be like, I can't. Like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Robert Downey Jr. on the podcast.
Well, he's not doing anything. You seen the trailer for Doolittle?
I did not see it.
More like
but
fucking make little money at the box office. Am I right?
Doolittle, more like Robert Downey Jr.'s doing little after Marvel. That's too
oh
long.
my god! No, yeah. I hope that he's just back. He's
Yeah,
like, I'm Tony Stark again. No, but that doesn't make sense.
No,
whatever.
I hope he starts doing other stuff.
Oh, no,
I,
for sure,
yeah,
yeah.
I hope he doesn't just
That'd be
like
so
he
bad.
just stops
He's
acting
like,
after.
yeah.
He's like, that was my career. I'm
Well,
done.
I mean, he doesn't need to. Like,
He
there's
obviously
nothing
doesn't
left.
need to, but he's
Sherlock
great.
Holmes
So
3. It's time for Sherlock Holmes 3. Bring it back.
we got to do the Sherlock Holmes team up between Benedict Cabbage Patch and Robert
Ooh,
Downey
yeah,
Jr.
with Martin Freeman. Is every member of that team in the MCU now?
Probably
Watson and Jude Law, I don't think is, but everybody else is. So.
throw in Will Ferrell.
Oh God, John C. Reilly. They're both.
Yeah.
Oh wait, Will Ferrell
John C.
isn't.
Reilly.
John C. Reilly
yeah.
is perfect. There you go. I think everybody has at least half of their team who's been in the MCU, which is super
Because
interesting.
everyone's been in the MCU.
Except for Sherlock, who both of them have been. But this is not interesting. I don't know why we're talking about this.
Yeah, no, we were already doing the outro, and then we
You
started.
can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Marvel Movie Pod. You can email us at marvelmoviepod@gmail.com. You can find me on Instagram at FlippedEgg. You can find me on Twitter at FlippedEgg, but the E and egg is a 3. That was not nearly as quick as it usually is. Is there anything else? I feel like there's so much and I never... Oh, you should like and subscribe and comment on all of this stuff. If you're watching this on YouTube, you should share this with your friends. We have a Facebook page.
Give us reviews.
Reviews
tell
on
us if you hate
iTunes.
it. Please
Absolutely.
tell us.
I would love that.
We need. I don't think we've ever gotten feedback ever.
No, I mean I get it from people, like fans will, and I hate the term fans. It sucks. Listeners will tell us.
It's not fans.
Not fans. Nobody's a fan.
Yeah, no.
Except maybe Paul. He's pretty cool.
Well,
yeah.
Paul's different.
Paul's different. Paul is at
Paul's
another level.
special.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh. You're not on social media because you're weird.
I have a dual personality thing.
The mutant cure. You love red trench coats, is that correct? And you think
Yes.
Chris Evans looks adorable in his
I am in the process of planning on dyeing my hair red.
That'd be a
I
good
love
look on
red
you,
trench.
Franny.
It would not.
Look how bright you are all the time.
I know.
How bright you dress. And
Exactly.
man, I didn't even realize that Paul didn't know what you looked like. Like I was like,
No
wow,
one knows
I guess
what I
nobody
look like.
knows, huh? Yeah.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I don't have very many pictures of myself in general. So, yeah, obviously no one's going to know what I look like.
I guess so. Well, so they'll see that art. That'll be their one reference.
Yeah,
But
it'll
then
be...
everybody still thinks Nick Mason looks like Tony Stark. He does not. Not anymore, anyway. All right.
Yeah, literally no one knows what I look like, and that's fine.
It's a rat. He looks like a rat.
Yeah, I look like a rat, and that's fine.
Okay, we really need to kill this.
Yeah, we
Okay,
do.
okay,
This is
bye,
so long.
Bye, Ghost Rider
It's
next
good to be
week.
back.
Bye, bye. Don't stop listening.
Don't you know who I am?
The Juggernaut, bitch!